By now, season 1 of The Rings of Power is over, and yet people are still talking about it. So, season 2, my predictions, my feelings, and my thoughts on what's being said. At the moment, they're using the spin that it's going to be more lore accurate. I don't know how they're going to do that, because they've already butchered it to the point that things they've butchered it at this point. There's no way around it. There's no nice way of saying it. They've also, the editing, the story structure, the compression of the timeline, Galadriel's writing, the derivative feeling that this show has of other works. It borrows extremely heavily, directly quoting Peter Jackson's The Fellowship of the Ring, emulating its story structure, emulating Game of Thrones here and there, but also emulating the Elizabeth the Golden Age movie, which is a Cate Blanchett project. If you watch that movie, you'll see what I mean. The original Elizabeth is a very good movie. Golden Age was not as good, but still a decent costume drama. But the emulation and just this whole kind of reductive, that's how I would describe the works, this Rings of Power mess. It's a reductive series. And I don't know how they're going to do a more lore-accurate version, because they don't have the rights to the actual lore. They don't have the rights to any of the story that Tolkien really told, barring basic events. Also, side note, can we get rid of the Princess Diana, George Michael 1980s hair, please, on the elves? Elves have long hair for a reason, but that's a whole different topic. This series, so far, was a disaster. From the first episode onwards, its attempts to be deep and meaningful, and attempts to tell a socio-political fantasy, but failed miserably. Lots of headshots of people talking, lame action scenes, mixed bag CGI, half-foots which are basically little goblins. They are hobbits. Let's be real here. They are hobbits. They're not a separate race. They're just a different breed. This show is a mess. Season 2, I have a feeling we're doing a more lore-accurate season isn't really going to be a lore-accurate season. They're going to do more of the same. They're already scouting locations in the UK. They're talking about season 2, but according to some reports, there are delays in the production of season 2. So it might not even start production until next year. At this point, usually it's like, boom, we've had a season, take time off, let's start production. They're not doing that. They probably won't start production at this point until the middle to the end of next year, which by then we're going to end up with a Star Trek Discovery situation where no one cares about the show and it's basically content for a streaming service. Ultimately, I think all of this is spin. I think this is all, we've learnt from our mistakes. No, you haven't. And you're going to attack the fans more. You're going to attack people. You're going to hurt people. And when you start attacking your core audience, even if the show was amazing, the best thing since sliced bread, they're not going to engage with it. I mean, the paid reviews seem to be turning on this show one by one, and the only good reviews I've seen are places like IGN, which I'm pretty sure are still getting Amazon's money. But censoring the viewer, good and bad, because they are censoring reviews, not just bad reviews, they're censoring good reviews too, which has been quite an interesting thing to watch. But that's a different video. I've talked about this. I predict for season 2 they're going to emulate The Two Towers. They're going to rip more lines from Peter Jackson, and they're going to tell another derivative story. This sort of weird culture war that this show has started is not only extremely disgusting, but also just shows me that people aren't interested in watching a good TV show. They're just interested in defending a mediocre TV show because it's stunning and brave. Season 2, I think, will be more of the same. I think it will be a very derivative season. I think it will still have that redactive feeling, and I think it will still feel disconnected from the works and story it's meant to be telling. The whole Sauron Galadriel love story, taking away her husband, which it's implied that he's dead, and the leaks are saying dead, but I get the feeling there's been some hasty rewrites and re-edits, just because continuity is broken. This series shouldn't even get a second season at this point, and I'm actually surprised that it is, but as some people say, there's too much money invested that it not to be successful. And the sort of gaslighting and bullying behaviour of the Stan accounts is going to keep going. There's one account now, Elron something, that's basically harassing people. There is also a Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power brand account that is dedicated to someone who basically wants to screw Sauron. They want to make Sauron a more sympathetic villain is strange. The fact that they even kind of changed the origin of Mount Doom, which was created by Morgoth, and all of this stuff that they've just broken to the point that it's unfixable. My prediction is it's going to be more of the same. Lots of paid PR, lots of amazing reviews that talk about the special effects and strong women and diversity and representation, but never actually talk about the show. And ultimately, a reductive story that doesn't feel connected to anything. More time jumps, leaps around Middle-earth or the realms of Middle-earth that shouldn't really happen, and more just overall cheapness. The cheap vibe to this show, the costumes, the sets, are embarrassing. I've seen better things in fan production, and actually the cosplay that people are doing of this series looks better than the costumes in the show. You hire weak actors to play strong roles, and the falsehood of this strong, empowered Galadriel, who bears no resemblance to the Galadriel of the Second Age, and we can go into that again. I've talked about that in other videos. I feel like at this point, all of the good stuff they're saying, oh, we're going to do more lore accurate, it's all PR, it's all spin, it's literally to try and get people interested, but they're going to do more of the same, and more of this kind of generic fantasy that isn't working. And now with the rumours that Amazon want the rights to C.S. Lewis, I don't know how the hell they're going to do that. A work that is fundamentally a retelling of the Christian Bible. How are they going to deal with that one? Because, any relationship to religion has to be removed, and that's another thing that I absolutely detest. So yeah, tell me what you think in the comments below, and tell me what your predictions are for season 2, because it will be very interesting to hear. Keep the comments civil, please.